tall, thin woman leaned against the cafe wall, watching as little flecks of paint drifted down from the plaster to her feet. She was protected from the heat by the overhanging roof, but now the breeze was picking up a bit, blowing her tea dress to the side. The wind flicked her mousy brown hair over her eyes, momentarily covering the trails of mascara running down her face. Taking a step away from the wall, she lit a cigarette, exhaling smoke which danced on the wind out into the car park. Whether she knew it or not, we were both watching the same nothingness in front of her. The piece was quickly ended by a loud roar of a car speeding into the lot. It stopped abruptly, parking haphazardly across two spaces. The engine was shut off and a man leapt out of the car and made a beeline for the woman, shouting as he went. She shouted back, pointing at the cafe and then at his car. V's gestures stopped him in his tracks and he threw his hands in the air in frustration, but she stood where she was, puffing on a cigarette, unmoved by his emotions. He marched back to his car and quickly pulled it into one of the faded spaces. He could do it quicker than I could. I wondered why he didn't park sensibly to begin with. I looked back at her. She was back to leaning against the cafe, more paint peeling off of the wall. He'd jumped back out of the car and was now doing a very manly half-run, half-walk to meet her. I suspect this was not his finest hour. When he got closer to her, he stretched his arms out wide like a stiff doll, going in for a hug. She quickly turned away, rejecting him. His arms fell by his side and his shoulders tensed. She looked him up and down, saying nothing. He started to yell, roaring at her like a big bear on its hind legs, waving his arms around while she was motionless. Terrifying yet slightly comical, overly dramatic like a pantomime character. I clasped my hands together and squeezed them tightly as I watched, unable to get back to what I'd been doing. Realising his yelling wasn't giving him what he wanted, his body language relaxed and his arms went back to his sides. I started to relax until I saw his clenched fists. Pairs of eyes spied from the cafe window and I moved my hand towards my pocket, ready to pick up the phone. Was my personal soap opera going to turn into a police incident? I held my breath and it felt like the world stood still. It felt like an eternity of waiting as they both stood watching each other, waiting for the next move. And then he relaxed, finally. She straightened up, coming away from the wall. As she stubbed her cigarette out on the ground, she began to speak. He looked to be listening intensely, staring into her eyes. With each word, he was shrinking, his stature changing from a bear to a mouse. "Miss?" came a voice from behind me. I blinked and turned away from the window that had entertained me moments before, to see 30 students all staring back at me. Thanks for listening to this story by Tea Light. This episode was written and read by Imogen Wheal. If you like this and want to hear more, likes, comments, subscriptions and shares are really appreciated. See you next week.